I'm Motty. That's Scotty, and we've got a special guest.
Yes, indeed, we have.
We have
Smithy.
Mr. Joe Smith, and we've given him a camera. Do you know what I mean? This is a privilege, for him to be on it, and also for us to give him a camera. We've gone full Sloppy Joe's here. If you don't know who Joe is, then you obviously don't watch Stretford Paddock or Sloppy Joe's, because he's a... What's the word?
I was going to say it was a regular on Sloppy Joe's.
As Sean Connery would say. Sloppy Joe's.
Dutch version.
Yes. Yeah, do you remember that? Who was it who did the accent, the Dutch
Steve
accent?
McLaren.
Yeah, what was all that about?
I don't know, but it's a good segue because we are going to be talking about England managers very, very soon. But yeah, can you put the camera back on you, Joe? 'Cause you look like you're trapped somewhere.
I am.
Yeah, are you in a box?
In a box.
That's how we had to get him here.
Yeah.
We had to stick him in a box and just feed him ham. And then he said, yeah.
I've had so much ham.
I
Really full of nitrate stuff as well, so I've probably got about 8 years left.
Do you eat meat, Joe?
Yeah.
Does he?
I always thought like you were a vegan.
No.
Well, I was a veggie for a bit, and then I had some bad medical news, and I thought, fuck this. I'm probably going to die at 40 anyway, so I might as well eat meat.
Your appetite is surprisingly large. Like when me and you go for a scran and that, you can put it away because you're not a big lad. You're tall, but
He's
you're not big.
tall,
Yeah, no, but he's not like chunky.
Fatty.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but for capacity-wise, there's a lot to fill.
I know, but it doesn't usually work like that, does it?
I don't know, I don't.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, usually, if you eat a lot, you're usually quite a bigger boy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A bigger boy. What
Yeah.
a polite way of saying fat.
I don't like that word. You know what I mean? Big boned. But with him, you know, honestly, you go Nando's with him, you're in there for about 3 hours.
What'd you get at
Non-stop.
Nando's, Joe?
So normally I get half a chicken, either medium or hot, depending on whether I want to sort of feel the burn. And then we'll share a halloumi starter,
Yeah.
and I'll get obviously chips and coleslaw with it.
Yeah.
And then I'll get 5 wings as well.
Good lad.
Yeah.
That's decent.
That's decent. Do you know what I mean? That's not too bad, is it? But I can't even get the wings, man. I'm done with I have the same as him, but I don't have the wings.
Yeah.
Because I'm full up by that time.
My Mackey's order is probably bigger than Mackey.
What's your Mackey's order?
That's-
Just to know that other fast food options are available.
A large quarter pounder, double quarter pounder meal usually.
Yeah.
And then a box of 20 nuggets as well.
20 nuggets.
Yeah, the big 20 boy. Because the problem is, if you go up to 9, that's
Wow.
like £4.30.
Yeah.
And it's only £4.99 for 20, so it's like 60p for 11
That's what I
nuggets.
mean.
I went to a house a few weeks ago and people in there had been smoking weed heavily, and I've never seen so much McDonald's get. It was like, you know, when you see like the end of some of them zombie films where they found a carcass, it was just flying for
It's
a chicken.
mad, isn't it? Because now, this generation obviously have delivery and all that. Back in our day, it was like...
Could you be asked?
No, well, it was... You didn't have that, did you? Like, at night.
No.
And also, the only person we used to ring, did you have the crate man?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, crate man
Crate man was
elite, wasn't
great
it?
for people with drink
Honestly.
problems.
Oh, mate. He was like speed dial one on
Yeah.
my phone. 3 in the morning, on a sesh, need a crate of beer or a bottle of vodka, ring the crate man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was, well, he was speed dial 2 on my phone. The first speed was obviously the dealer. I remember once the dealer and the crate man turned up at the same time. It was the best minute.
Wow.
Of my life. It was literally the best minute of my life.
Speaking of Christmas.
Up to that point.
Yeah.
I've had better days since.
It'd be good if they could, like, you know, if they did the same enterprise.
Yeah, they should have teamed up. Do you know what I mean? It
Drugs
should have
and
been
drink,
like,
man.
Yeah, drugs and drink, man. You know what I mean? You get one, you get the other. That's the rule.
Did you have the
to.
crate man, Joe?
Yeah, they have that in workshop.
No, not in workshop. There was sometimes someone would bring a crate round. One
Yeah.
time, it was like one of the first parties we got invited to. We were about 15, and it was like, oh my god, we've been invited. Like, we're cool now because we never got it. We did, but not really. And my mate Gareth, he bought the biggest. I think it was either a 24 or like a 36 Budweiser bottle crate. Like the biggest crate I've ever seen to this day. It looked like, I don't even know, a Mini Cooper. That much Budweiser. We just get around the corner like, right, everyone play it cool. Here we go. We can see the house. And he dropped it, and I'm not joking, every single one smashed.
Really?
Completely. The entire 36 was like pouring down the driveway at this girl's house.
Get a
And all
straw.
of a sudden, like, I don't know what to do. We were trying to make friends. And next thing we're like, can we have some of your beers, please, at this party that we really aren't invited to? Every single one smashed.
I mean, if you turn up to a party with a load of broken bottles in your hand.
Yeah, you'll get late.
You know what
Well,
I
you
mean?
might do. You might not. They might ring the police and
Yeah.
lock the doors. Especially in workshop, you know, it's like that. It's rough, innit? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They love a good
Is
glassing.
workshop rough?
Mate, it's...
Is it?
Yeah,
It's not rough, it's just a bit
Neglected.
like- yeah. It's just
Right.
a kind of northern form of mine in town.
Yeah.
Where you're not going to get shot, but you're not going to get hugged.
Right, okay.
Right, okay.
That should be the tagline for the tourism board. Comes to workshop, you're not going to get shot,
Yeah.
but you're not going to get hugged.
A maximum of 5 GCSEs allowed. That's basically.
Well, I'd
what
fit in.
it's
I'd do all right. I've got 6. I'm
Have you really?
I'm above average.
All right, Mr. Masters. Congratulations, by the way. I don't think we've addressed that on this podcast. Well done. I am proud of you, and so is Mr. Smith.
Well,
I'm
listen,
sure.
everyone in this room has played a part in this. I'm not just saying that because me and you did this podcast about 2 years ago when you were talking to me about doing a Masters because I might have a small amount of intelligence, but I've got zero common sense. I'm a bit away with the fairies. And I was like, well, I can't afford a Masters. And you're like, what are you talking about? You get a loan. It's like your undergrad. I was like, oh, right, do you? So I looked, and I wanted to do, there was an option, because I thought, if I can tie it in with my job, like, it'll be worthwhile. So I don't want to do a Masters in, say, chemical engineering or whatever, because it's not anything to do with what I'm doing. Not that I could. So I spoke to Joe, and I was like, listen, if I do a Masters, am I right to shift some shifts around, so I can go and do it? He's like, yeah, of course you can. So big shout out to him. I was going to do something that sort of studied the effects of media, like the media industry. Like it was almost like anthropology type thing where you looked at, different sort of
like human
analytics,
science
and what it did. And I looked at that course. I thought that could sort of help in terms of views and what we're doing and, how we're reaching out to people. But they got rid of that course. I think it was only me that was interested in it. And then they said, why don't you do documentary production? Because that's a similar thing, but probably better. And I thought about it and I thought, we do make videos, so that's not a bad idea to learn, a little bit about that. So yeah, I did it. Loved it. It was a bit daunting going back to uni at 42 or 41 at the time. Because me and you speak about it all the time, we were mature students, undergrad, weren't we?
Yeah.
I graduated when I was 30. So it's been 12 years since I've been in a classroom. And also, I was the eldest person in the room, including the lecturers. But no, it was
Were
really
you older than the lecturers?
Some of them. I think there was one that was a little bit older than me, but others who were like, yeah, you know what I mean? Kids, basically. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. We got like the Salford Uni where I went. It's changed a lot, man, since sort of when I first applied there from undergrad. It was like my safety option. You have one where you go, don't get anywhere else. I'll
That's
go
the
there.
one.
And no disrespect to Salford at the time, it wasn't.
Oh,
like
now
it is
it's the top to go, though,
because it
isn't
didn't
it?
have Media City, didn't have everything. You know what I mean? Now and like we had things like Paul Greengrass came in, did a lecture. We had Paul Sapien, who was like one of my supervisor for my doc. He's made a load of documentaries that I love. So you had like really sort of top tier people who were helping you. And just, you know what it is? It's the people in the class were sound. Do you know what I mean? Because if you get on with people, it's just easier, innit?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And like loads of collaboration going on. It was a good laugh, but I was at a bit of an advantage, massive advantage, because I've obviously got access to cameras and stuff. So you can still get them from the uni. It's just filling in forms. It's not for me. So yeah, those risk assessments.
I'm usually taking ask questions later, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was like they showed you the risk assessment thing you had to do, because like when we film at Paddock, it's like they would say, well, the first day they're like, right, if you film outdoors, you've got to apply to the council here, you've got to do this, you've got to do this COVID risk. And I was like, I've literally just been outside Old Trafford with a camera filming the news, and I haven't done any of that. And they're like, this is the law, and I'm like, is it? It's a grey area. And they're like, no, it's not a grey area. It's the law. And I'm like, well, this conversation is a grey area.
Yeah. I mean, your standard of risk assessment, I walked into the studio tonight and you and Joe Smith were playing two-touch in the studio where there were cameras and TVs around.
And
so
that is an exclusive video that will be available on some sort of, video later.
Can I hold this over you
No,
and
you
Joe
can't,
now?
because it's like, that will undermine any
Edit.
footballing opinion you have. I was 3-0 up as well, wasn't I, son?
Yeah, and I brought it back to 4-3.
Do you know
Smashed
what
it
I
out the
mean?
park.
So we had it like different games. Do you know what I mean? Like first to 5, and I stormed into a 3-0 victory, 3 games to 0, and then he 4-3. And I was saying to him, now I know how Harry Kane felt on that penalty. The pressure was on me for that last game.
Really?
I crumbled.
Speaking of which,
Yes. First of all, should we do the sort of disclaimer for you that you're not that emotionally invested?
yeah, I couldn't be less that. I didn't even watch the
You
game.
support Italy, don't you?
I didn't watch the game.
And there's a reason that, you've got Italian heritage and you just don't like, you're not bothered about England. Joe is a fully fledged, with St. George in my heart, keep me English type of guy, aren't you, bro?
Big time.
Yep.
season ticket at
Well,
Weatherspoons. And
Yep.
Season ticket at Weatherspoons. He
Yeah.
slayed a dragon, for God's sake, Jay. If that doesn't give someone
Yeah.
respect, what does?
How is your arse flare skills though, Joe?
Yeah, can you stick a flare up your
Yeah.
ass in front of 200 people?
He looks like he could.
I reckon he could.
I tell you what, I don't know if I could, but I'd certainly give it a go.
Yeah.
And
Just
200.
practice.
What's the sort of circumference of a flare?
I think like, is it like a 2p, bit more, bit bigger?
Up your ass? Do you reckon you could get one? Do you reckon you'd need lube on
Get a
that?
few up there.
Yeah.
Hey, cut that flag, get another one up there, son. Come on. Hey, this is the World Cup. This is the Euros.
It's like New Year's Eve at the Sydney office. There's fireworks going
A
off.
fucking cannonball up there. Like.
Yeah, come on. I've got a crowd here. I don't get out of bed for less than 2 flares up my ass. Come on. But what was your feeling then as an outsider when England got knocked out? What was your sort of emotions? Nothing like...
Well, to use the limited French that I have, quelle surprise.
Quelle surprise. Joe, you're more bothered. Where did you watch it? Because you were here with you.
No, I watched it with my niece and nephew at my sister's house.
Yeah. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was all right. My nephew woke up screaming at one point.
Really?
Which wasn't very good. So
Your nephew's only little, isn't he?
No, he's older than me. He's 31.
Oh, right. So that's not the nephew I met the other week, then, obviously.
No, that was him. That was a joke.
Right.
No, that actually wasn't him. It was a different nephew, but he's 3.
Okay.
So we took him up to bed at half time.
Right.
And then he started screaming. So I went up to see him, and then I came back down, and Kane had missed the penalty. So that was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd rather England won.
Yeah.
And it made me feel a bit like it felt. I don't know if this is a bad comparison, but it almost feels like watching United under Solskjaer. Where you're like,
oh, yes.
They've got a manager that I quite like as a bloke. He seems nice enough, and obviously I like Solskjaer way more than I like Southgate, not even in the same ballpark, but a likeable figure who's the leader. Never really won any big trophies. Yeah. Has had doubts surrounding him the whole time because of that. Yeah. And it's a lot of quarters, semis, and finals, but you doubt whether he can instill a team with that killer instinct. And it almost reminds me of the Solskjaer.
A very good comparison.
I completely agree with you. I've been making a similar comparison between Southgate and Solskjaer, and I think that the reason they've been doing as well as they have, because it has been an improvement in terms of standings within like certain tournaments. You can't take that away.
100%.
But I think the majority of that is down to the calibre of players rather than it is the management. But then also, because they've got that calibre of players, you're expecting a hell of a lot more. And if you compare Morocco at the moment, who are in a semi-final, that guy only took over that Moroccan team 6 months ago. Yeah. Hasn't got the ability, that hasn't got the players at his disposal that Southgate has in England. Knocked out Spain, knocked out Portugal. I don't think if England come up against either of them two, that would have gone through. So I think you can have great players, but if you've got to be able to manage them, or if you haven't got great players, then manage them to the best of their ability, which the Moroccan manager has. I just think Southgate's just the wrong man for the job. I just don't think he's got it in him to push them on. They should be a hell of a lot better than what they are.
Right, okay. Because that's sort of what I wanted to get into. Sort of Southgate is, there's question marks about his future. I think he's holding the cards there. I think it's his decision. I think the FA are happy with him. Now, whether, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think there is a ceiling with Southgate. I've said that all along. What I do like about Southgate, and this is underrated, and I think this actually matters, is you said he's a good bloke, Joe, and I agree with you, he is. And I think he's created a good atmosphere around the England team. They seem like a good bunch of players. They seem to get on. They sort of do and say the right things when they're away in the camp, and there's a good relationship with the press. And people go, well, who cares about that? But I do a bit, because they are, my kids watch England, and they, they care. And it's like, I've grown up with just an England team where it was just horrible. They were all just a bunch of knobheads. Do you know what I mean? The relationship with the press was non-existent. The manager was just awkward. It was just a bit like, even if they were good players or whatever, it wasn't like you could really get behind it. But I find it easier to get behind this team than I ever have done with an England team, because I've not been a very big England fan. I'm still not a massive one. But I think he's got a good sort of spirit, and he handles the press well, and there's a community spirit out of the team. I just feel tactically he's not the greatest.
He's not a divisive figure, I think, that sometimes we've had in the past. But then when you look at the other nations and the ones that have failed, particularly in this World Cup, do you think Brazil are saying, let's keep our manager because everyone's really happy around the camp?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
but
to me, it's a good trait that he's got.
But it's a great trait for the FA. Yeah. Because there's been managers in the past that they would have said, a bit too divisive, or there's a lot of question marks over them.
Yeah, well, that's happened, hasn't it? Quite a few times. I think every manager, bar maybe. I think Sven had, he was he's sleeping with one of the secretaries or whatever. I had an affair with one of that was, elite. There was... There was Terry Venables had his fingers in more pies than me and you back in the day. There was who else have we had? Sam Allardyce, who literally lasted a week because he was busy trying to sell pyramid schemes to someone or whatever he was doing on that fake shake nonsense. There was who else have we had? If we had Glenn Hoddle, who decided to say that disabled people deserved it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? During an interview about his England team, which is just, horrendous.
And then you look at the others. I mean, Fabio Capello was too strict, I thought.
And he lost his marbles in South Africa, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he completely lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like, I do not understand what went on there. Because we won, I think, didn't we win every qualifying game?
Up until that point. Did we win one game did we win one game in South Africa?
Yeah, I think we beat
Slovakia, Slovenia.
We played Slovakia. Did we play Slovakia, Algeria, and someone else?
And they drew with Algeria.
Slovenia. It might have been Slovenia, actually. Slovenia, Algeria, and I can't remember who the third one was. But I think we drew 2 and won 1, and then went through against Germany and then got battered. And we sort of got through by default. It was did you remember it was the one where Wayne Rooney he swore at the camera?
Yeah,
and it was horrible. I was over there. I didn't only watch the Germany game. I was over there working with a uni thing. Nothing to do with England, just with the World Cup. And we went to the Germany game. It was terrible. We just got battered, obviously. But yeah, Capello I don't know what he was doing. I almost felt like he sabotaged it.
And then you had Hodgson, Keegan.
I forgot about Keegan.
You know, the Germany game, won it when Didi Hammond scored. It was the last game of Wembley, won it?
Yeah,
and then he was crying again.
He just said he couldn't do it. He said, I can't, I'm no good. I'm not up to this.
But I think from the FA's point of view, I think they'd be quite happy to just finish semis and quarters under Southgate and not have any sort of rock in the boat. Do
you see him ever getting there?
No.
Do you think he'll ever sort of be able to win something? If we gave him the Euros again, do you think he could get past that semi or final barrier, or do you think he's
again? I think
once he gets to a limit,
a lot of the players will be coming more of age, and it is still a very young squad. I mean, I think our best player in the tournament was probably Bellingham.
I think it's a fair. There's a couple, but I think
but some of the decisions. I mean, the Marcus Rashford. What did he get? 6 minutes again against France, and that just anyway. I wouldn't exactly. So there are question marks on some of his sort of tactics, and I thought Senegal, they were quite lucky not to go 1-0 down in the first half.
Yeah.
Against Senegal, I think it was overly convincing. They weren't great in the group stages, but nobody really was. But I think if you look at the other nations, I just don't think that anybody will be keeping their managers if they've been deemed a failure, and that's what he's done again. Unless, in my eyes, unless you're getting to the final maybe the final is not failing, because I think but I think
I think if you'd have got I think there's a difference. I think if you'd have beat France and got beat off Argentina. I mean, this is Argentina.
Oh, Morocco they would have got.
Oh, was it Morocco? Oh, mind you, saying that, people would have kicked off about that, to be honest. The thing is, like, you mentioned a lot there. The Rashford thing infuriated me. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, Marcus is on fire. You saw he came on against Iran, and I don't even think Marcus is as good as a sub. I prefer him to start. Came on as Iran, scored with his first touch. Was 10 times better than Raheem Sterling in that cameo. Sterling, I know he got a goal, but he didn't do a lot in that game. Marcus came on and was just getting in behind him constantly. It was like he had it. You know what I mean? He had the bit between his teeth. For a really good performance. Then he was it the USA game he was dropped for, wasn't it? Or he didn't drop, he came on as sub. 0-0. Didn't really have enough time to affect the game. Didn't really do much. Gets his start against Wales. And, first half bit KJ, second half, phenomenal. 2 goals, hand in the third goal. Just flying. The kid's flying. Now, I think you keep him in the team for the Senegal game. I think he carries on. He's dropped, gets 15 minutes or whatever it was, 20 minutes. Then he gets then you come to the France game. Now, there's a lot to sort of went wrong for me in that with Southgate's tactics. For starters, I thought Saka was probably our most effective attacker when he brought him off. It's causing the French problems, winning free kicks, getting him behind him. Not even necessarily getting behind him, running at him, and you could see they were struggling to cope with him. Then he brought on Sterling, who's not trained all week because his house got burgled.
I know, and you'd think that he's got a lot of
he's obviously psychologically, that's got a weigh on your mind. And also, up to that point, the game, you making this point, Joe, earlier, that Sterling wasn't having a great World Cup anyway, was it?
No, he was poor.
Yeah.
He looked like the Sterling for Chelsea. Normally Sterling can pull it out of the bag for England and be, more involved, more impressive than he is even at club level if he's in a bad
he's not having a great season, is he?
At Chelsea. He was poor at Chelsea. And I thought he just carried that form.
Yeah,
but that's again why he carried on playing.
Again, that's the thing, though, wasn't it, with Southgate in terms of how. What's the word I'm looking for? Not reliant, but he's very
set in his ways.
Set in his ways, set loyal. I think.
Loyal, sorry, that makes sense.
What I mean?
And I think there is an element of maybe with Sterling that he thought, you've come back, you've had this, and I'll give you some time. I'll give you some time on the pitch. I'm not just gonna throw you in for last minute. And I think that's a mistake. You can't do that with centre.
I think Sterling would have been surprised to come back and go into that squad.
Yeah.
I
It
really
made no
do.
sense. And I always think that 5 minutes giving Marcus 5 minutes is difficult because there's still a little bit of time left, obviously, but not quite enough to get into the game. And
Marcus isn't an impact striker.
no, he's not. The Iran
not
game was an
someone
outlier. It wasn't. That's not him.
He's not someone you throw on like we've
No.
got like span crosses into the box for the last 5 minutes.
Because you said, Joe, you understood the starting 11, didn't you? Tactically.
Yeah, I got why you wouldn't start.
Not necessarily agree with it, but you get it.
Yeah, because I think Saka, everyone was talking about Rashford being top scorer. I think Saka had the same amount of goals.
Yeah.
I think they both had 3 going into that game. And I think he likes to play a sort of ball-playing winger in a Sterling or a Foden or a Grealish on one side, and then a player that's slightly better off the ball, arriving, using their pace, getting in behind in a Saka or a Rashford on the right. So I get why he chose Saka over Rashford, because he's been just as sort of heavily involved in the goals, and he's playing more often.
And also, for England, Saka, on the whole, if you look at the Euros, was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Marcus didn't. He's not played for England since the Euros, Marcus.
No.
So I don't agree with it. Marcus has started the game for England for me.
Yeah.
But I understood it.
Yeah.
What I didn't understand was the Mason Mount one. I thought was a bit odd.
Because
Okay.
he's another one who's just been terrible all tournament. He runs around and does nothing, gets replaced and outclassed by an aging, typically seen as kind of jack of all trades, master of none in Jordan Henderson. And he's made to look, I think Henderson was far better than Mount was in the games that he played. And then you bring him on before you... it just didn't make any sense. I would have brought Phillips on before I brought Mount on.
Yeah.
Mount is just so ineffective at everything. He loves a shot from 25 yards that just goes over.
Did you see that shot he had from about 30 yards? And it was like, I think it's been close. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He had a shot from about 30 yards, and it was nowhere near the goal. It was like high and wide and in row Z. And you're like, why are you doing that?
But doesn't this just typify why he's the wrong man for the job? Because this is when you need a good manager to be able to tactically take on the French and play to your squad strengths. The results they got up to that point, I mean, they should have beat Iran.
Yeah.
On paper, should have beat USA.
Yeah.
Struggled.
Yeah.
Should have beat Wales.
Yeah.
Should have beat Senegal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not denying that, no.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But then good managers get you over the line, even if your starting 11 isn't as good as the ones facing you. And that's go back to that Moroccan point.
The thing with France was for me, I thought it was relatively even. I think there's a few in the France side that will get in our team or England's team. I think there's a few the few that wouldn't. Like, I don't think Rabiot gets in England team. I don't think Upamecano gets in England team. I know not everyone's a great fan of Stones and Maguire, but I think they're better than Upamecano. Certainly don't think he'd replace him. I don't even think Lloris gets in over Pickford, to be honest with you.
Pavard won't get in over Walker or Trippier or Alexander Arnold or Reece James or Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's why you can go Mbappe, amazing. Like, obviously he is, and suits your main.
You think it was an even matchup then?
I think it's relatively close.
That's even more disappointing.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying, but people have gone like, France are miles better, and I don't think they are. I think.
But you go back to the Italy game in the Euros. That game was there for the winning, but it was far too pragmatic.
Croatia in 2018.
Yeah.
And the question is, though, there's two big questions, because we were talking about this on Paddock podcast the other day, and England managers have generally failed a lot more than Southgate has. Iceland.
I just love that. That's so Spurs. Who's failed better than the other?
They have. You know what I mean? Like Capello, like we said, won one game. Hodgson, we got knocked out by Iceland. McLaren, we didn't even qualify. Sven did okay. I think 2 quarters.
I quite liked England under Sven.
Yeah.
I think it might be the players that they had.
Yeah, they were. But again, we beat Argentina in the World Cup, great day. But then we went out in the quarterfinals. So there's not England managers have massively underachieved anyway. But the big question, the obvious one is, who replaces Southgate? Because the two managers that have been linked, these are the two that have been linked, are Tuchel and Pochettino. Right now, I think both of those managers are much better than Southgate. I just think they are. And I'm not the Pochettino's biggest fan. I think I don't think that Southgate could do the job they've done in club football. But I don't think the FA, personally, and I could be proven wrong, will appoint a German or even an Argentinian in charge of the national team. I just don't think they will.
Even though they've had like an Italian and a Swede in the past.
And I think there's a bit of an hangover from that.
Really?
I do. I think that the Capello one didn't end well. There was a bit of afters there with it. The Sven one, there was controversy there again. And I think that Southgate, because Me and you sat and you're going, it's not good enough, you should be doing better, and I agree with you. But I think the FA's sort of benchmark is if you get to the knockouts, if you get,
that's what I mean. That's why they're quite.
I think they'll look at it, and go. And if
Southgate.
Southgate does quit, I think there might be a sort of bit of a whispering campaign for them to replace him with an Englishman, and that's when you're going to struggle because.
Well, I've got the list here of
Go on.
the bookies' favourites.
Nice
so
one,
from
brother.
Sky Bet, it's Pochettino first, like you said, Tuchel second, 4-1 and 5-1, and then after that it's Brendan Rodgers at 7-1. Eddie Howe, obviously the first Englishman on the list so far, at 10-1. Then it's Graham Potter, Frank Lampard, Steve Cooper, Steve Holland, who is the current assistant, Steven Gerrard, and Wayne Rooney. So when you're looking at CVs of managers that are English, the best thing that any of them have ever done is Eddie Howe getting Bournemouth promoted.
Well, I mean that's the standard, though, isn't it? I mean, in the Premier, I think I read a stat the other day. I think no Englishman's ever won the Premier League as a manager, have they?
No.
When you look at them,
well, you can go through, can't you? We don't know.
Or how many have actually won any silverware as managers?
Wasn't Harry Redknapp at Portsmouth the last one to win a?
Or maybe one of the only ones, really. I can't remember too many Englishmen.
Am I missing someone here? Is someone going to when's the last Englishman to win a trophy? Harry Redknapp in Portsmouth was 2008, the FA Cup.
Brendan Rodgers win anything with?
But again, he's Irish, isn't he? He's Northern Irish. He did. He won the FA Cup with Leicester, but he's not. He played. He is a Northern Irish person. I know he's British.
But would you count winning the championship as a trophy, or is that like a top flight thing? You mean?
I'm thinking a major, a League Cup, a FA Cup, a league, or a Champions League, or a Europa League.
But do you think that's down to sort of jingoism then? Why they've got an English manager?
Oh yeah.
Really? Just
why else would you know what I mean? There's no reason why you go. Let's get in Eddie Howe over Thomas Tuchel, who's won the Champions League.
I can't see Thomas Tuchel or Pochettino wanting the England job.
That's another point.
They both scream club managers, and I think either of them are just waiting for another club to go into. I just can't see it. Wasn't there a time when Jose Mourinho was touted as being?
He's fed you there, Joe.
Yeah.
You've fed Joe a little tiddler there that he's going to snap up with gusto.
Really?
He's the biggest Jose Mourinho for England.
I think that suit. I really think that's suited because Jose Mourinho is hated in Portugal. He'd never get the Portuguese national job. Never. I think he'd take the England job if he was offered it.
What do you reckon, Joe? Joe's a big Jose for England fan.
That is honestly, I was saying it on the Paddock podcast earlier, but I think that is such a good fit because he would love to prove everyone wrong. That he's back, that he can do the thing that no one else can do. Imagine he wins the first trophy for England since '66. He would love that more than anything. And the thing with Jose is, he's other than Real Madrid, where he was a success, but not a rare success. He's been at his best with underdogs. I know Chelsea weren't underdogs because they had the billionaire owner, but they'd never won the Premier League. They were competing against Manchester United, and he dominated. Inter Milan had been.
No one expected them to win the Champions League.
Porto.
They win the treble. Porto, exactly. You put him with the same mentality, the same coaching that won Porto and Inter Milan Champions Leagues. Maybe it would all collapse and set on fire, but he'd give it a. He does love
the
good chance.
He does love the Rocky narrative, don't he?
Yeah.
That's very
the one
much
thing I like about Jose
Mourinho
is, and I think there's two sort of problems Southgate's got. One, tactically, I think like I said, there's limits there, and also I don't think he can dish out a bollocking when he needs to. He strikes me as very much arm round the shoulder and that's it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if he's got it in him to go get your fucking, you know what I mean? What you doing? Sort your head out, sort of thing. Where Jose, he won't have qualms about throwing a drinks bottle at your head and fucking dropping you from international football for the rest of your career. Do you know what I mean? He's that kind of guy.
I mean, and on the pitch though, he'll completely nullify a game to win it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you? I know you don't care, but would you have that, Joe? If we got Jose and he went full turbo, Jose at United for a spell of was just getting a 0-0, 1-0 penalties. I don't give a fuck.
See England score a knockout goal. We only win on penalties. We go full Croatia. All it is get to extra time and we'll see you there because we're already there.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I mean, and this is the whole thing when everyone's going mad at me that the football under Jose was terrible. For me, I'm all about the trophies, right? I know you buy.
That first season.
I know you buy your season ticket to be entertaining and stuff, but I want to see silverware, and I don't give a rat's ass how you get in at the end of the season. And knockout football. Argentina haven't been fantastic this tournament, right? If they win the trophy, they're not going to be asked. Morocco, attacking wise, have been fucking dreadful.
Well, I
do you know what I mean? But they win it. Do you think Morocco? They're going to be sat in Marrakesh going like that? You know what? The football was terrible, lads.
King Otto, that documentary on the Greek team. No one cares. The Greeks don't care that they were the most dire team to watch ever because they were. They were awful. But they don't care. They won the Euros.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? They beat Portugal twice in Portugal. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was just free kick, 1-0 all the way. You know, Milan, do you remember Milan in 2003? Fucking hell, when they won the Champions League. Was it Old Trafford, wasn't it? Was it Old Trafford?
Yeah, when you beat Juventus.
Oh, my. I mean,
terrible.
Awful. But they don't care. They got a Champions League at the end of it. No, I don't mind. If you got to make that work, you got to have trophies. You get trophies. Do you know what I mean? And maybe he could do that with England because. No, go on.
The thing
I
with
just think
Jose
he's
as well,
got.
like we said about the English manager, that stat about no manager has ever won the World Cup with a country that they aren't from. It's quite sort of well known at this point.
Yeah.
But again, going back to the English options, I've got this list here if you want to go through it, Jay. The only 6 English managers to win a major trophy in the Premier League game.
Joe Royle against United.
Joe Royals uses a photo.
Joe Royle against United. Ron Atkinson against United as well.
I love how he's pictured with a black man and Dalen Atkinson next to him.
Oh, God rest Dalen Atkinson. Such a tragedy what happened to him. Roy Evans, League Cup. And let's not forget, that was like the remnants of when Liverpool was still sort of there or thereabouts.
That was United against United, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, when we had the horrible week of, 10 days of drawing at West Ham, losing the league, and then Brian Little, League Cup, 96. Yeah, nice one. Steve McLaren, I forgot.
He's even my England manager.
Yeah. Steve McLaren, 2004. Harry Redknapp, I remember that one. Win the FA Cup.
And that's it.
I mean, fucking hell.
That's literally it.
You are
in the last
fishing
30
in the
years.
shallow end there, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go with England, I mean, the thing is that Gareth Southgate only got this job because Big Sam got sacked and they were like, shit, what do we do?
Flip it round. You were talking about Pochettino and Tuchel maybe getting the England job. And this goes back to mine and Joe's comparison to Solskjaer. Does Southgate get another job outside of this? Because let's just remember how bad Southgate was as a club manager and still got this job.
The similarities with Solskjaer are staggering because they both got relegated as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think he does a bit of maybe a Chris Coleman type thing, or he goes to like a championship club or something like that. I think a lot of clubs base getting a manager in not just on their ability, but also
the profile,
the marketing it brings, the attention.
Oh, if you're bringing the ex-England manager in, and because he's revered as well as something.
Like if you're, a championship club and you want a bit of attention and PR, and someone who isn't a complete fucking disaster as a manager, you can get him in. I don't think he gets a Premier League job.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I don't. I think now the Premier League, there's too much money on the table. He hasn't done enough where people are going to go, he's the guy. I think there's...
They were dreadful coming into this tournament, though. Let's not forget.
Oh, yeah. The Nations League's been not even mentioned. Because I'm not that invested in England that I even watched the Nations League. I don't think I saw a game.
But then they got battered. Was it Ivory Coast that beat them?
I don't know, Joe. You're a massive Nations League fan, aren't you?
I wouldn't say I'm a massive Nations League fan. I'll be honest.
I've thrown him right under the bus there.
Thank you.
Here's Joe with the Nations League stats.
Right. All right, then. Let me ask you this. Your Sir Bert Millichip, or whoever it is nowadays, that's how long I don't know if it is. He died years ago. I don't even know.
Is that a real person?
Yeah, he was. He was at the FA back in the day. Because do you remember, have you ever seen the Graham Taylor documentary? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Do I not like that?
Do I not like that?
Yeah.
Orange.
It's amazing how the England team used to be run. Because what they do is, the manager, and it shows you all this, he'd go into the committee and he'd explain every decision he'd made. So he'd say, right, for this game, I've picked,
so they had to actually...
And like, you'd have all these men in suits who were like a combined age of about 1,042. Like, honestly, all like octogenarians and that, like barely alive, and had been there since 1904. And he'd explain like his decisions, and they'd scrutinise him, and they'd go right into like who you picked at right back and all that. Because apparently Brian Clough, who was like the most successful manager ever, got interviewed for the England job in like 1981 or whatever after he just won back-to-back European Cups, and more or less told him that, you can forget about fucking committees. Cause
it's almost like Prime Minister's questions or
yeah,
something.
It
like
was.
You've got to justify your decisions.
And like Brian Clough said, I'm not fucking doing that. That's never going to happen. And they were like, right, well, we don't. They didn't want him. They wanted anyone but him because they knew he wouldn't have any of that shit. Where Graham Taylor was a bit more of a company man. But yeah, it's bizarre because that is like, all right, it's 94 or whatever, but it's not a million years ago. You know, Fergie was at United. Fuck, can you imagine Fergie going into a boardroom and going, "Well, I've dropped Andre Kinskelsis this week because there's a bit of a fitness issue." Do you know what I mean?
I don't understand how you can possibly do that job knowing you've got to go. Your results should justify your decisions. Do you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to go in and do that.
It was weird, but Graham Taylor, I think in one of his books, said he was advised not to pick so many black players. Like the FA, he said he ignored them, but he said the FA were like, because this was at a time when there was more and more black players in the Premier League and more English black players, and he was questioned about that. And some certain people in the FA didn't name him were like, maybe you need to tone it down a bit with the amount of black players you're picking. And he was like, I'll pretend you didn't say that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that was the sort of shit that was going down. So yeah, you're Sir Bert Millichip, right? You've got to make that decision. Who you ringing?
So I'm definitely sacking Southgate.
Well, all right. You might ring Gareth Southgate and go, "Please, Gareth, stay on." Or you might ring.
If I'm the FA, I'm keeping Southgate on.
Yeah.
But but for me, David Scott.
For you, David Scott. Then you're not Sir Bert Millichip. You're David Scott.
I'd be on the phone to Jose and I'd be saying, "Listen, what are you doing after the Roma at the end of next season?" That's the only one I could see for the job.
Yeah. What would you do, Joe? Would you be the same, Jose?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of someone else.
It'd be fun as well, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Southgate's too.
I would love it. I don't think it'd happen, but I don't really care about England that much. So if it was funny, I'd be up for that. Do you know what I mean? But
the other options you think of, you think Pochettino. Do you know when boxers get to that point where they go up to like a title fight, they get up to like the world title fight, and then they lose. But then because they're up in that like high ranked area, they fight another really good fighter and they lose again. And then before you know it, this once promising boxer has now got a last 6 fights, they've lost 4, won 2.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of crumbling in the net. That's what Pochettino feels like. Like, he's gone up there, he's had his world title fight, he's gone to PSG, and it was bad. It was crap.
So basically, he's Spurs.
Yeah. Like, he did the same. He got to the Champions League final with Spurs.
Yeah.
Then the next season, gets sacked. Right, okay. And then you go again. And then it's PSG. Brilliant. You don't win the league with the team that was first when you joined, that have won it every year for 7 years in a row, and you don't win it. Like, I know he won it the year after, but like, he feels like someone that was meant to be this world champion fighter, but before you know it, he's losing to the other sort of contenders now. I don't see what he brings.
Can you see an Argentinian? I'd love an Argentinian to manage England. To the
I want to make this clear as well. When I said I don't think an Argentinian or a German will get the job, it's not that I don't want them to. I don't care.
No.
But, you know what I mean?
Can you imagine Peter Shilton or someone?
Now
of
you're
that
making
ilk?
me want that to happen even more.
That'd be hilarious.
If he was
Can you
like, I
imagine
can't
the
believe in
sort
my
of-
day we'd have the Germans managing England if Tuchel got it. Like I couldn't care less. I think Pochettino has a bit of charisma about him. I think a bit of something maybe could get away with it as a sort of similar-ish style to Gareth Southgate of being a good ambassador and working with these players and stuff. I understand what you mean about the move to PSG. He had to win the title in that first year, or he had to do something in the Champions League. He did nothing. He did neither. And by the time he wins the title in the second season, no one
too
cares.
late, yeah.
And also, there's all these stories in there. He fell out with everyone, and Messi didn't like him, and Neymar didn't like him, and Mbappe didn't like him. And it's like, I think the one thing with Jose that he's got as well, I still think Jose Mourinho is a name that players respect. I think if he goes in there as manager, because I think there must be certain players are only human. They might look at Gareth Southgate and go a bit, what have you fucking done?
Same as that again, back to the Solskjaer thing, and then that was a lot of his downfall.
How
are you going to tell me to win a European?
And at least with Solskjaer, the one thing he had was as a player he'd won a lot.
Yeah.
Southgate as a player didn't win much, and then as a manager, you go in. I think it made it easier for himself once he got to that World Cup semi-final, because at least he said like, I've done something in the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Or to the Euros, but I don't think it massively helps him. And I think going back to Hodgson, I think that was another thing with him. You saw the interaction on the sideline with him, some of the players. It looked like that he was talking a different language.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I remember, was it him and Ross Barkley, was it? Where he was in his ear and Ross Barkley looked like he was about to fall asleep.
Was that when they got beat by Iceland?
I can't remember. There was one where Ross Barkley looked like he just weren't even listening to him. I think it was Ross Barkley.
There's a name that fell off the fucking map, wasn't it?
Mate, he fell right off the
That was
cliff,
he had the move from Everton to Chelsea, wasn't it?
Do you remember he went from Everton to Chelsea? Or he went from, where was he going to go? He was going to go somewhere else, wasn't he?
I'm sure we were in with him.
Yeah, but he failed his medical. He was going to go to Chelsea, that was it, on deadline day. But he wasn't 100% fit and he failed his medical. And then he went back, he was going to go for 25 million. And then he went again in the summer for like next to nothing. Do you remember Joe Anderson, the mayor of Liverpool, wanted to prosecute Chelsea? Because he was convinced that basically, he'd said to Chelsea, look, I'm not 100% yet. I'm probably not going to be right for another few months. So they'd said, right, come back in a few months, we'll buy you. Like, his contract was up or something.
That doesn't sound like something the mayor of Liverpool would do.
Well, no, the mayor of Liverpool, like, because he's never,
Yeah.
Sony and got, like, he's like fuming. Yeah, Joe, then, are you Jose in all the way then? That's you, yeah?
Yeah. I was just thinking, would he be the sort of most, like, trophy-laden international manager ever?
Capello be up there.
Has Capello done what? I know Enrique, he won the treble did he win the treble? He certainly won the double at Barcelona.
I think he won the league, didn't he?
What did Del Bosque win before he went to
Spain?
Yeah. To Spain have had a couple, haven't they, that have been serial winners. Do you know what I mean? I think you make it's Jose. Those 2 Champions Leagues have got to put him in the conversation, and also
having the ability to. Yeah, but I mean,
countries he's won a title in, or whatever
even with Man United as well, winning the Europa League, and I know he puts it down to one of his greatest achievements. And you know what followed afterwards in terms of.
Well, it's like you say about a trophy. I think that second season losing that FA Cup final hurt him. Right,
That's
so
Del Bosque there.
Del Bosque, you got 2 La Ligas, you've got
Champions Leagues.
2 Champions Leagues, have you? Yeah. So you got the thing with that is it's all at one club in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying you dismiss it. It's fantastic.
And the chances are that he'll have managed a lot of them players at Madrid that he will have managed at the at international level, whereas Capello coming into England was working with a different sort of.
I love this. It's got personal nobility. Created first Marquess of Del Bosque by King Juan Carlos. Yeah, obviously did well at Madrid. The thing with Mourinho is he did well at Porto, won the Champions League. He did well at Chelsea, won back-to-back titles, and at the time broke the record for the number of points. Did well at Inter, winning a treble, and the Champions League involved in that treble. Did well at Real Madrid to a certain degree, winning the title against that. It was against that Barca team, wasn't it? Pep's Barca team. And then coming back to Chelsea, winning another title. And like you say, it's at United winning a European trophy.
I think he's won some because he won.
And Roma, he won the conference.
I don't think he's been at a club and not won something.
Spurs. You don't win anything at Spurs. It's
Exactly, but
it's part of the rules.
That's a poison chalice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, but nobody can count that on the CV as a serious
it don't
club.
count
It don't
Spurs.
really.
It's like if you've got Spurs on your CV, they just ignore that bit.
Yeah, just look over it.
They don't even put it down.
I was going to say, most people
you put
just
United and then you put Roma.
They go like, "What were you doing during this time?" They're like, "Gap year."
Yeah, gap year. Nothing. Literally nothing. Now
I was making an Amazon documentary.
Yeah. I'm sure that I see you on the telecoat. No.
Something like that. That was Joe Marini.
Yeah. But do you know what made me laugh about that documentary? I think he came out of that looking good.
Dele Alli didn't.
Yeah. Who was the other one? Danny Rose. Remember him?
Yeah.
Where he went, if you don't pick me, I'll just go and train at home. What? And he's like, Joe's like, all right, okay. What? I'm sure when the cameras stopped rolling, he didn't say that. I'm sure he went, no, you fucking won't train at home. You'll train where I tell you to train. Do you know what I mean? And the best one with that was, I don't hate hating on players.
He was an England player when he died.
Yeah, because I feel a bit sorry for Danny Rose. He's another one who's sort of career fell off a cliff. But there's that bit in the documentary where he's like, Avinta rang. And then like, no. No. And then he's like, Newcastle. You're like, fucking hell. I thought you got to Milan and you got Newcastle.
Imagine that guy
who's like Inter if your TV's black and white.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, someone's rang and you're going to be wearing stripes next season.
Yeah.
Oh,
Grimsby.
really? Yeah. Joe, just on it, would you keep Southgate on?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, just mostly because of the lack of options. If I'm being honest, I don't think we'll get Jose. I think maybe we could, but it'd be a lot of money and it'd be such a big thing. And I just feel like he wants to prove something at Roma. And the rest of them do not. I don't think Tuchel would do it. I think he's still got enough.
No, I agree. The club thing is important. Yeah.
He can get a job at.
His stock's high, man. I think he was shafted at Chelsea as well.
Yeah, he was shafted at Chelsea.
Oh, you had bloody Todd Burley and his championship manager head coming in, didn't you? Yeah, let's buy Ronaldo. No. Yeah, right, you're gone. What?
He could feasibly be the next Juve manager or the next.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there'd be enough clubs for
manager again. I won't be surprised if he went back there. Like, he's a very good manager. And then after that, it is just shit. Like, not to be mean to Brendan Rodgers, but why? And then you get to the English managers, and it is literally a who's who of who the hell are you? Like, that is it. And no offense to Wayne Rooney, but the fact that he is on this list when he's managed Derby and one team in MLS
United
for 2 years, he's been a manager for 2.5 years.
Like, and he's got a relegation from the Championship on his CV, even though like Rooney.
And he's top 10.
Yeah.
No chance.
Joe, just get Southgate's stats up before he was England manager, if possible.
I mean,
Because you're mocking Rooney and what he's done. I don't think Southgate.
I think the thing we've got to remember with Southgate is it's a bit different because he was brought in as caretaker, wasn't he, at first because of the Sam Allardyce sacking. They were like, we've got to get rid of Sam, we've got to put someone in. And also, he was well in with the FA because of the under-21s thing.
Right.
So I understand, like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but like, you know, the Euros where he finished runners up.
He had a 29%
no,
win
sorry, that's
record.
not right, is it?
Yeah, managerial record. So he had a 29.
Sorry, the Toulon tournament, yeah. Oh no, isn't it as a?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think he only got that job because you look, he literally left the England under-21s to go and become England manager. Like that's the only reason he got it. He never would have got that.
Well,
on his,
I know,
on
but
his CV.
that's never enough to get a step up. I don't think to go from England under-21s to the main.
Well, that's what I mean. It was a one-off, wasn't it? He just kept it.
And also,
do you know what I mean?
it was like you said, it was a sort of emergency circumstances, wasn't it? The old manager.
It's so similar to
Solskjaer.
It's so similar.
It's Solskjaer in a waistcoat.
Yeah, because if Sam Allardyce doesn't try and sell a yacht or whatever it was he was doing to that sheikh, then he keeps his job at least to the end of the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? That was the whole point. So it was just
But even then, you could argue we were sort of scraping the barrel with Allardyce, and I like him. I think he's an underrated manager, but he's a sort of like the Mike Ashley of managers, isn't it?
I would have
where
loved
he gets
to,
drafted into teams are in administration and he just saves them.
I would have loved to have seen like the Black Lives Matter movement and the taking the knee and all this sort of stuff going on and the wave of wokeism as they call it under Sam Allardyce. I would have had to listen to his thoughts on wearing the rainbow armband.
Yeah.
as a concept. That would have been interesting to say the least.
Right, before we wrap up then, let me ask you.
Go on.
Southgate stay or go? If you're in charge?
If I'm in charge, I get your Jose thing. And I think Jose Mourinho is just a better manager than Gareth Southgate. He just is. And I think if you could convince Jose, I understand that. I think he's probably, you've probably got a better chance of winning something. I don't know for some reason. I'm not his biggest fan. I never wanted him at United, but I have a sneaky feeling that Pochettino could work with England. I just don't know. I think there's something there with him and a group of young players and just, not having to worry about a budget and sign anyone or any of that nonsense. I don't know. I think he has a little bit of charisma. He's not won loads, but I just think there's a bit about him where he could handle that job. So, yeah, I wouldn't be against it if Poch came, but I don't think it'll happen. I think Southgate will end up staying.
Yeah, I think so. I think the FA is probably better the devil, rather than getting in devil maker.
Nicely done. Yes. Should we wrap up there then? Big thanks to Joe Smith, producer/presenter extraordinaire. If you've not done, go and check out the Sloppy Joe's podcast. We're going to be doing another. I think we've done a crossover.
Are we
in the
doing
past,
a Christmas one, Joe?
We're doing a Christmas special with me, you, Joe McGrath, and Ethan James. Yeah.
We all ought to, aren't we? Yeah, let's get one sorted.
Let's get one sorted. There's a link in the description for Sloppy Joe's. Go and check them out. And what we up to as well. We've got more.
We've got more. Yeah, because I put a post out earlier on this week about mental health and addiction, because we've been getting lots of people commenting and asking our advice as non-professionals, but people who've struggled with various stuff. So we're going to do another podcast to show very, very shortly on that. So thank you, everybody who's been getting in touch. And if you haven't, subscribe, like.
Check out the Patreon as well. Extra stuff on Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Well done on your article.
Thank you.
Really, really well done. It's like, wait a long time. And then it comes along.
See, yeah,
it's like you were constipated. Your pen was just like struggling. You found.
I have missed it. You've not done your own work. Me and Scotty met our alternate articles for the Patreon, and Scotty regulars clockwork. You set your watch to what he does. Do you know what I mean? Not a drama. Me, and it's like I just forget because I'm thick, and I'm like, oh shit, I've not done my article. I have done them in the past, but then I was like, right, if I need to do it, I need to do it properly. So I did it like staggered over a few days because
it was very good.
Thank you. It's all about higher education. So yeah, there's extra content on the Patreon channel with extra vids and extra articles as well. But on this channel, we'll always have you back as well. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. That's been Scotty. That's been Smithy. I've been Motty. This has been Scotty and Motty. Thanks for watching.